Okay. If you're watching this in the future, I mean, hello from the past. But next week, The Flash, Batman Returns Again, comes out. You and I are going to go see it. And I figured we'd take just a minute to talk about the Batman that got us to this part in history, and how crazy the beginning of comic book movies as a concept was, and kind of celebrate what started this whole fucking, literally the reason we're talking about Spider-Man, this Spider-Man or The Flash or the MCU, all boils down to a movie that came out in 1989 called Batman. And we wouldn't have any of these movies without it. And so we're going to talk about it while you're here. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, let us know what you think in the comments. But I'm going to try to get 89 and Batman Returns squeezed in here in the next 20 minutes or so. Comic book movies didn't really exist before 89. There was the 1960s Batman movie, which was based on the show, but Batman then was a comedy act, right? It was it
was fucking Adam West running with a giant bomb over his head.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That is the one scene from that film I remember, by the way, is the bomb. trying to find a place to throw it and everything.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we're making a Batman movie. And then people saw the trailer and they're like, this looks fucking crazy. There was a little bit of drama around the beginning of it. So like, they knew they wanted Jack Nicholson as the Joker, right? But Jack Nicholson, who is already insanely famous, was like, I'm not doing it. So they went and hired Robin Williams. They gave him the part. And then they went to Jack Nicholson and was like, well, if you're not doing it, Robin Williams is going to do it. And so Jack Nicholson was like, well, fuck him. I want to do it. And that's exactly what they wanted. So they fired Robin Williams and they got Jack Nicholson as their Joker. As a result, they wanted Robin Williams to come back as the Riddler in the third Batman film. But he's like, fuck you guys. Not only did he not play the Riddler, he didn't work with Warner Brothers at all until they apologized.
I don't blame him. That's an incredibly fucked up thing to do.
Now, the thing about the 1989 Batman is that it is a Joker movie.
Yes,
the Joker is kind of the main character of the movie, and it's kind of a weird, like Tim Burton was at the head of this, so of course a lot of it's very kind of insane. Jack Nicholson got a percentage of the gross, by the way, which never happens. I don't know how he made that happen. They must have wanted him so badly. That dude is still getting like $100 million checks from this movie. Also, when they cast Michael Keaton as Batman, there was huge public outrage. But like you couldn't tweet about it back then, so people like wrote letters to the studio or whatever. And then they saw the first trailer and they're like, "Oh, this might actually work." Yeah. So
like, we have to talk about like getting actual big established actors for your comic book movie did not happen before this.
Well, comic book movies didn't exist. Like no one took it seriously. So like Michael Keaton was a comedy actor at the time, but he wasn't like huge, right? He wasn't like Jack Nicholson, which is why Jack Nicholson was like, fuck you guys, this sounds so stupid, right?
But I'm saying things like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man would not have happened without this movie.
Right, that's true. So this film has a fucking banger of an intro. Most of it is because Danny Elfman's score for this movie is so supremely amazing that
it's so brilliant.
It's like half of the movie's success might be because of Danny Elfman. He wrote this epic dark fucking theme for Batman, and I still listen to that to this day. One thing that really bothers me though is that at the beginning of this intro, they made a cardinal mistake that we know now is a big deal, but they didn't know then, attributing Batman's creation to Bob Kane, which is a lie. Bob Kane did not create the Batman that you know. Bill Finger did. And Bob Kane was kind of a bastard and created this entire mirage about how he was the creator of Batman, while Bill Finger died poor in his fucking studio apartment. The creator of Batman, the actual creator of Batman. They've since then fixed this. So like in Batman v Superman, I think they get co-credit for it. So it's like Bob Kane and Bill Finger. There's a really great documentary about this that everyone should go. I can't remember what it's called, but the art direction in this movie is insane. Like,
yes. So let's talk about that for a second. Tim Burton has this way of making things that have a very like
Yeah.
identifiably Tim Burton
Yeah.
style.
It's grotesque and weird, and the proportions are weird. Yeah.
Everything in this movie is like too long and too tall and weird, like overly gothic and like weirdly industrial with these pipes sticking out of it. And it's just it's so cool, and it works even though it looks so otherworldly and strange.
Right. Yeah, it's Gotham City is just a fucking mess. Like, this city would never exist, but it's crazy. It looks like kind of like all of his other movies, honestly, but it's like it's still a really good aesthetic. Like, he has his thing, and it works real fucking well. The whole film starts out with this Bruce Wayne origin story fake out, which I really love. Because now we know in every movie you got to have the Bruce Wayne's parents get shot in the alley and with the pearls and the popcorn and shit.
Yep.
They started it out with there's this kid and his two parents. They get mugged, but they get the guy's money and they leave. No one's killed, and then Batman shows up and kicks the shit out of them, which is kind of cool. One of those guys, by the way, one of the robbers was the old guy that dies in Andor.
Oh,
yeah, kind of a crazy thing there. So Batman saves the day, and it's like Batman kind of like at the beginning of his career. And so, what did you think about the Batman gadgets in this movie, which I thought were really great? Like he's got his Batarang. He was the first Batman to use a grapple gun. Like before then, like Batman just used his Batarang with a rope or whatever. And so he's got like this gas powered and he's got a line launcher that he uses in like my favorite scene of this movie, which we'll talk about here in a second. He's got his testicular obliterator, which he uses at the end of the movie. Like a guy like jumps at him with his legs, and like this thing pops out of his palm and like knocks the guy right in the nuts and like knocks him over. Very strange single use specific thing, but I guess it's not as insane as like the shark repellent from the Batman movie. Like the Adam West movie.
They're like over the top and kind of primitive compared to what we know of like modern Batman movie gadgets, but they work in the context of this one.
Yeah. We get a Joker origin story, which people have been using ever since as kind of the default, which is Batman throws him it falls into some acid or whatever. They do some retconning in this continuity. A young Joker is who kills Batman's parents. So there's a whole thing there. There's, of course, Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent, which was supposed to go on through the other movies, but as soon as Tim Burton stopped doing them, they didn't want him in shit, and which is too bad because he's fucking great. Vicky Vale, the love interest, who is a photojournalist who is investigating the Batman, it becomes a love interest. The basic plot is that Joker taints a bunch of beauty products, which is just so capricious and whimsical. Like it's just like, and it's set up in a way where like you got to use certain makeup in like you got to use like mouthwash and hairspray and toothpaste. And when you use those things mixed together, you turn into a fucking smile monster or something, right?
Yeah.
So my favorite scene in this film is fucking Vicky Vale goes to the museum. She's supposed to meet Batman or Bruce Wayne. Joker shows up, kills everyone in the museum except for her. There's this entire scene scored by Prince singing this fucking banger song where they destroy all the artwork, and they have Joker and Vicky Vale have this hilarious fucking conversation. He wants her to photograph his murderous art, right?
Yeah.
Batman comes busting through the fucking glass ceiling, lands right in front of him, picks Vicky Vale up, gets his line launcher, points it right at Joker's face. And then like the two pieces come out and they like the lines fire and he just fucks out. He's like, fuck you guys. And Joker has this great fucking line where he's like, where does he get all these wonderful toys? And as if on cue, they get out to the parking lot. Batman goes, get into the car. And Vicky Vale's like, what car? And you see for the first time the fucking Batmobile, which is the best Batmobile that ever was or ever will be. It's just fucking insane.
They basically just copied this for the animated series, right?
Yeah.
With the extremely long and sleek and curved lines.
Yeah, with the canopy windshield and shit. Yeah. So the Vicky Vale finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. How? Alfred takes her down to the Batcave. He's like, oh, by the way, your boyfriend's Batman. He wasn't going to tell you, so I'm going to fucking tell you.
This is also a really good opportunity to point out that Batman in this movie kills a lot of people.
Oh, I'm getting there. So they have this conversation after Alfred shows him to the Batcave. And they talk about like they're like, oh, do we bone? Like, should we like try to make this work? And
yeah,
Vicky says, are we gonna try to love each other? And Bruce Wayne says, I'd like to, but he's out there and I have to go to work. And what does he mean by work? Literal mass murder, because he goes straight there to Axis Chemicals, drives into the factory, drops a fucking nuke on the floor, leaves, blows the entire building up, right? So meanwhile, Joker invites all of these people to this parade and he's gonna gas them with these giant balloons, right? Yeah. So here comes the fucking Batwing, which is the other amazing vehicle from this movie that they'll never top. This is the fucking there's a part where he flies up into the sky and it's like it superimposes over the moon, and he comes back down and he deploys his weapons, he gets his targeting computer out, and he just starts shooting people with machine guns and firing missiles at like he's literally trying to kill Joker. In the middle of
the city.
Yeah. He's not trying to scare him. He is literally trying to murder Joker. He does not give a fuck.
And like while this is happening, Joker reaches into his pants, pulls out this comically long revolver.
It's like a 4-foot revolver. It's fucking crazy, and it one-shots the Batwing. And in any other movie, it would be fucking insane, right? So they have this great finale in this cathedral. There's this really funny horny Joker moment where like he's trying to get Vicky, for some reason he wants Vicky Vale to like he wants to bone Vicky Vale, right?
Sure.
Because she is pretty, so like I get it. But like he's like making her dance and they're like waltzing and shit. And then she sees Batman is like waiting to beat him up. So she pretends to like him back for a moment, like where she's like kissing his sleeve and shit.
And Joker's like, shit, I didn't expect this to work.
Yeah, he's got this fucking look on his face like, I'm about to get laid, I think. And then fucking out of nowhere, Batman just like, he like whoops his ass and everything. Batman kills the Joker, by the way. Yeah. He bolos him to a fucking statue. He didn't have to do that. He could have let him get away and go and gotten him later. Fucking bolos him to a statue while he's trying to escape on a helicopter, and he falls hundreds of feet to his death. He murdered the Joker, and it's okay. So Batman Returns, also right on the back of this, was fucking fantastic. Probably a lot of people would say better than the first. I don't know. 89 Batman has like a special spot in my heart. This one's a lot more kind of crazy and ridiculous and Tim Burton-y, because Tim Burton had complete creative control over the whole film.
Yeah,
because he did so well in the first one.
We didn't mention the first Batman was like the largest budget movie in Hollywood history at that point.
Yeah, and it was a huge blockbuster too.
Yeah, like it was a huge success, like made back way more than its budget. Yeah. So when Warner Bros. Went to make a sequel, they said, okay, we actually trust Tim Burton now. Let's give him whatever he needs. Let him do whatever he wants.
Right. So Tim Burton Returns, obviously Michael Keaton and Danny Elfman returns as the film's composer. Fucking great music on this one too.
Michael Gough as Alfred.
Michael Gough, yeah. So introducing Danny DeVito as the Penguin,
which is like not what you would expect, because Danny DeVito is like this in my mind, because like the last thing I've seen him is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah. He's kind of like this goofy, funny guy.
That's kind of the character he plays in Batman a little bit. His character from Philadelphia. It's like this,
a little bit, but like way more vicious and bloodthirsty.
And also like way more horny. And this is a very horny movie in spots. So his makeup was done by the legendary Stan Winston, which was kind of great. Michelle Pfeiffer coming to this film as Catwoman, and Christopher Walken as fucking Max Schreck, who's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
And just like the first movie, this one is a villain origin story where like the villain is the villains are the kind of the main character. And like you get the Penguin origin story, which is pretty much he's a freak child at birth. He eats a cat and that pisses his parents off. And like when his dad is played by Pee Wee Herman, and they throw him into a creek. And like 33 years later, Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken, is pretty much the Donald Trump of Gotham City, except he's just like smarter. And Michelle Pfeiffer is his assistant, Selena Kyle. There's a Red Triangle Gang attack where like guys bust out of a fucking... By the way, this is a Christmas movie, and fuck you if you don't think it is. It absolutely is. They bust out of this the giant Christmas present, and they terrorize people. One of my favorite moments of this movie is Batman or Bruce Wayne is just like in a dark room in his mansion, just like thinking.
Yeah, just chilling.
Yeah,
when the fucking bat signal just shines through his window,
and he stands up and pose.
And looks at it.
Yeah, it's fucking great. So Batman saves the day. He starts with murder pretty much. Batman does not give a fuck about killing people.
It's fucking computer operated batarang where he taps the touchscreen and then throws it and like turns in midair to hit them all.
There are a couple of other things. Like there's the one like fire twirler that like blows the flame at the Batmobile, and he turns the Batmobile 180 and just hits him with the jet booster and just incinerates him, and he murders him. And this other guy, like later on in the film, this really big guy, he just stuffs TNT into his pants and throws him into a hole, and he blows up, and like chunks of him go everywhere.
They really did not have the codified like Batman doesn't kill code.
In the comics, it was in the comics, but Tim Burton did not give a fuck. He's like, he's gonna kill whoever the fuck he wants. There's a different bat suit in this, by the way. It's a lot more refined. It's like a more Art Deco design that honestly looks better probably than the first one. You get your Catwoman origin, who is she like cats chewed on her until she becomes Catwoman.
After her boss pushes her out a window and murders
Max
her.
Schreck, by the way, the Donald Trump of Gotham City. So that like there's this whole plot between Penguin and Max Schreck. They're trying to make him the mayor of Gotham City, but like Penguin has this other secret plot that he's not letting anyone else know, and like there are hijinks throughout the film, and
also Catwoman makes a plot with Penguin to kill Batman.
Right? They want to, they don't want to kill Batman because that would murder him. They want to make him into a villain, right? So I'm gonna get, in like 1 minute I'll get to that. They have this fight scene that starts off hilariously, where like Batman hits her and she's like, "How could you? I'm a woman," and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and then she just kicks his ass. But then like there's this great moment because it's a Christmas movie. Batman's knocked over. She lays on top of him, fucking licks his face. They see that they're under mistletoe, and Batman says mistletoe is deadly if you eat it, and Catwoman answers, "A kiss is deadly, is even deadlier if you mean it," right? And it's like this whole emerging Batman, Catwoman, Selena Kyle, Bruce Wayne romance thing. So yeah, they do want to frame Batman. So they frame him with a celebrity murder, and then they hijack the Batmobile, and which is, by the way, it's controlled by Penguin in a trailer with one of those quarter-fed kiddie ride versions of the Batmobile, and it's so fucking hilarious. But at some point, they just Batman and Alfred destroy his political career by playing a recording of something bad that he said earlier, which in 2023 wouldn't matter. Like, they would just say like, "I didn't say that," or like it's a deep fake, or it's
fake news,
deep state, whatever. Well, yeah. So his whole political thing falls apart. There's this ball where like a masked like masquerade ball, and Selena Kyle shows up to kill Max Schreck. And there's my favorite moment of this entire film is Batman and Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle are dancing, and Selena Kyle looks at some mistletoe and says, "Mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it." And then Bruce Wayne grabs her because he realizes and then he says the other part of the line, which is, "A kiss is even deadlier if you mean it." And they both look at each other like, holy shit. And it's underscored by this beautiful music by Danny Elfman. And they it's such a complex moment because in another inferior film, they would find out in a different, less interesting way. And so they both leave because they're like, "We got to figure this out." So anyway, this whole thing converges on this abandoned zoo. The penguin dies and is like vomiting NyQuil or something. Catwoman
and gets fucking carried to his watery grave by penguins.
Yeah, right. And then Catwoman kills herself and Max Schreck by kissing him with a taser or something. And then at the end, Bruce Wayne, Alfred's driving Bruce Wayne through the street, and he sees a black cat, and he gets out and rescues it. And thinks he sees something out of his peripherals, and looks, there's nothing there, and he's like, "Oh, I guess I got a new cat. That's cool." Drives away. Camera pans up, and it's the Catwoman standing in front of the bat signal because they had planned on bringing her back, right?
Yeah.
So the whole like these two films were like my entire childhood. This and Star Wars. Like I was so into these versions of Batman, and I will say that the fact that they're bringing Michael Keaton's Batman back is it took so criminally long that I'm glad they're doing it now, but the fact they haven't thought to do it before now is really kind of terrible. And because Michael Keaton made an amazing Batman. To a lot of people, he is their Batman, right?
Yep.
Myself included. There are other Batmans I liked. The Chris Nolan Batman I thought was great. I even kind of liked Val Kilmer's Batman as well. And I don't even mind Ben Affleck's Batman so much. I think he's kind of good too. But like this guy was Batman in my childhood, and so the fact that we're going to get to see him as Batman here in just under a week or just over a week, I'm very excited. So let us know what you think in the comments. We couldn't go scene by scene, so if there's a favorite scene in it that kind of sticks with your memory, let us know in the comments. And then as soon as we see this movie next week, we'll do a spoiler review on it. We'll talk about it. So that's all that we have for today. Here in a half an hour, I'll be back with the guys from Gremlin Squad. We will play some Battlefronts. It'll be fun. You should join us. In the meantime, see you later.